This is Bruce for Spartan Capital Markets, taking a look at the weekly technical market report for Sunday, May 28th, 2023. So this week we start, with the Aussie dollar, then go to the euro dollar, the pound dollar, the dollar yen, the Dow Jones 30, and then natural gas. So starting with the Aussie dollar, well, we have been consolidating in here this period here for quite a while. I had a number of false breakout to the upside, breakdowns to the downside over the last 2-3 months. But notice how every rally here found resistance at the 200 blue line, 200 exponential moving average, 1, 2, 3 times. The last time was the final. You can see it popped above it just a little bit before it came back down, just could not make it. Selling off through support of the 34 exponential moving average, through support of the previous swing low, through support of the other swing low, which is the bottom of really a rectangle type formation. And so now we've broken, which also is around the 62% retracement. So now it's fallen through that and reached an interim Fibonacci level. But the likelihood is that it will eventually fall down here. So any kind of bounces, watch for resistance and bearish reversals for entries of the primary trend now, which is down. And this target zone down here looks pretty likely it will be hit. Moving on to the euro dollar. The euro dollar broke through its uptrend line as discussed previously, and notice how it moved back up to test it slightly. Sorry, the quality is diminishing when I zoom in. Swung back up, tested resistance, and then continued on, finding support just above the 200 period exponential moving average. So I would want to see the euro dollar break below the 200 exponential. That would be a change in character. It should bounce either off last week's low or make another attempt, go a little bit lower, closer maybe to the 200, and then rally back up. After that, we'll have to see what happens. But we have resistance of the 34 period exponential moving average orange and the uptrend line, and then a number of Fibonacci levels that are put in there. Excuse me. Next, we have the pound dollar. Pound dollar is a little bit stronger relative to the euro dollar when compared to its uptrend line and the 34 period exponential moving average. You see here, when it broke through the uptrend line was about the same time it broke through the exponential moving average. And it's a bit higher relative to 200, which is down at the 50% retracement. So this 22,410 zone looks like it's got a good chance of eventually being reached before this decline is over, or the characteristics of it start to change in any kind of meaningful way. Bounces, watch for resistance around the 34 EMA. And I would say that if you're going to play a bounce on the euro is probably going to be better than bounce on the pound, because it looks like the euro is closer to completing its bottom. And then next we have the dollar yen. And the dollar yen has been very strong. We broke out above these prior to high. Whoops, sorry. These previous two highs here, 1, 2, and we're closing near the highs of the week, and that follows a previous strong momentum. So momentum is being sustained, and it is not slowing down at all, given how strong the week is. So we closed very close to the highs. We're going into a long weekend, in the U.S. anyway, for the and still close strong. So that's bullish. So the expectation is continuation higher. The other thing that the dollar yen did is it closed at the top of this resistance range. That's also bullish. And not only at the top, it closed above it, just a little bit above it, but it's still closed above it, which is bullish. The only thing is we're getting a little bit overbought, but if you look at previous overbought conditions, they're much higher. So I think that the dollar yen has a ways to go, and I think it might do it pretty quick. So any kind of weakness can be watched for opportunities to get into the stronger bull trend. Also, always be aware that at some point that's not going to be, the trend is going to end. It's going to reverse, or we're going to have a more serious correction. So we always have to be ready for that as well, no matter what the analysis looks like or what we think the market is telling us. Next, we move on to Hathaway analysis, where we're looking at some of geometric analysis done by Scott Hathaway using his proprietary techniques and then some other techniques as well. So the first is the Dow 30. And so here, last week's low should be support for some period of time and a rally up into the highs here of 33,470 to 33,850. And if you see this just in classical technical analysis, you have a bullish hammer off this line, and we have a strong reversal on Friday and a strong close. So that's exactly what you'd like to see if we've got the correct support area identified. And you can see that this 3/8 angled line is confirmed by price here and then at this recent bottom, and it mimics this previous 3/8 line here with this bottom and this bottom right here. And then further confirmation is given by this 1/3 rising 1/3 line. Okay, so, and this 1/3 line also confirms here. So you could just think of it as a normal trend line as well, but it's a little more significant because it's a geometrical line that connects up with the whole structure that we're looking at here. So that's for the Dow, bullish. And of course, if we break below last week's low, then it gets decidedly more bearish down to this 31,403 zone. And next, finally, we have natural gas. In case of natural gas, it's having one hell of a time getting off the bottom here. So this initial concentric circle is drawn connecting this trend right here. And then the second one is offset a little bit, starting with this high swing. And you can see that the initial one finds this high right here, and then now we just broke through support of this internal one. So it's not a prediction as much as the next key support is down at 194. We're not going to see any real bullish action, it looks like, until we get above 244. And if that happens, then the target is up at 303 or so. And it could happen relatively quickly because you can see that this line right here ends in June 12th. So let's see with natural gas. I think you want to watch the upside, and when it comes, it could come pretty quickly. So that's it for this week's newsletter review. Have a great week, traders. We'll talk to you next week.